I'm absolutely blown away. That's 250 so far. They say this is a big fish water. They definitely weren't lying. It's £59, 2 ounces. This is what I came to France for, really. My third fish of the session, and it's a 60-pounder. Welcome to Etangs de Chantereiene in France. I'm excited to say I've got a week ahead of me. We're on the first morning now. I arrived on Friday evening late and parked up in the car park and just sort of stayed the night in my van, and then the other guys arrived on Saturday morning. We had a walk around, chose our swims and everything, and we've just done the first night. So it's a beautiful morning. The mist is just rising off the lake. It was quite a foggy night, quite damp, so I wasn't really expecting any fish, and surprise, surprise, nothing's happened, but we have got a week ahead of us. I think the conditions are changing later in the week, so hopefully we're going to have a couple of fish. It's an 18-acre lake. I think there's about 300 fish in here, but we're in November now and it's been fishing quite hard, so it's not going to be, you know, a week of loads of fish. But my target for this week is to beat my common PB, because I've been stuck on £37 for about 5 or 6 years now. I've had mirrors up to £64 in France and over £50 in the UK, but for some reason the big commons have eluded me, so that's my target for this week. And I'm hopefully going to be able to tell you that it's happened. During the week I'll take you through the tactics and I'll talk you through my spots and everything that I'm fishing and show you the bait that I'm using and things like that, just so you can get a few tips if you ever do come to this lake as well. And there's 3 other guys here. We've got Mark, we've got Rick and we've got Dan, so we'll try and talk to them at some point as well and see how they're getting on. But for now I'm just going to be watching the shows. Early morning is a good time to see fish showing on any lake really, so I'm going to be looking to see if any fish show, and I can always adjust my tactics to suit. But I'm hoping we're going to have a good week. I found my spots yesterday and I'm quite confident that they're presented well, so yeah, we'll have to wait and see what happens. Right, I can't quite believe what I'm saying, but we're in the second night after a tough day yesterday and I finally had a fish. But it's not just any fish. It's £59, 2 ounces, which is my second biggest ever carp. They say this is a big fish water. They definitely weren't lying. So if I can lift it, I'm going to get it up to show you. And then tomorrow I'll be talking you through the tactics, show you my rig that I caught it on, and hopefully I've got time for a few more this week. Right, wish me luck. That is £59, 2 ounce of Etangs de Chantereiene carp. On the second night, I got the rods back out about 3 o'clock. A little bit more bait and a little change of hook bait, so I'll talk you through that tomorrow. But yeah, what more is there to say? This is what I came to France for, really. And if I don't catch anything the rest of the week, I'll be going home happy. So I might have a celebratory cider after I've taken some pictures of this. And yeah, hopefully there's more to come. Get in. Well, what a result that was last night. I'm still absolutely blown away. A 59-pounder on the second night and my first fish of the session. You can't ask for much more than that, really. There's not many fish bigger than that in this lake. I think there's 5 that go over 60 pound or something like that, but you know, I was very close to that magical 60 mark with that 59 pounder, so absolutely buzzed about that. But anyway, this is my swim here at Chantereiene. Swim number 4 it is. I'm on the sort of left hand side of the lake from where you come in, and it is 18 acres, this lake. And the other guys, there's 2 of them down the far end, that's Rick and Dan, and then directly opposite me I've got Mark. So I've actually got a whole side of the lake to myself, which is quite nice, quite a lot of water to go at. But it is a very weedy place, and when I got here I spent a long time with a leading rod casting around and basically didn't find anything. So I sort of struggled for the first 2 or 3 hours to find any spots at all. And then I borrowed a boat off Rick and went out with my leading rod and just spent a while drifting about, plodding, finding, you know, prodding the bottom with a lead. And I did get a couple of donks, so I dropped H blocks there and then cast to them from the bank, and one of them was absolutely pristine, little gravel spot in amongst weeds. So that's one of my spots on my right hand rod. It's only about 60 yards out. And then my middle rod, I found a spot down to the left, about 90 yards, and that's gravel again. And then my last rod, I've just gone along the margin, down this way. It's really clear sort of where the slope comes down from the margins, goes into weed, but there's clear before you hit the weed. So I've just got my left hand rod going down there, and I figured with the sun on this side of the lake during the day, it might get a few fish coming along this margin. Well, this is the view from my swim at Chantereiene, swim 4. I found a really nice hard spot off to the right there. It's about 60 yards out, so as you look at it, right hand rod, it's going out in line with, I think it's that tree there, about 60 yards, and it's a nice little gravel hole in amongst the weed, and it pulls back for about a rod length before you go back into heavy weed again. So I figured that might be a spot that the fish have fed on before. Perhaps anglers have fished it before and the fish have come and cleared it by eating the bait. And then my middle rod is going off down this way towards this tree here, I think it is, and that's about 90 yards. And again, I found a little clearing in the weed, and it comes up a little bit shallower there, so it's probably about 14 foot and surrounded by sort of 16 to 18 foot. And then my last rod is just my left hand rod going off down the margin here. It's a little bit less steep, the margin, it sort of flattens off towards the bottom of the shelf, and there's no weed there. There's a sort of a bivvy sized clear area. It looks like it's been recently fed on as well, so I've just put a few boilies around that and a little corked out bottom bait on it, and I'm just fishing quite subtle with that one. I haven't put any other bait out apart from a few boilies, because the coots, I figured, might get on it if I put corn in it and that sort of thing. Anything bright that they can see, they'll drop down on it. It's only sort of 7 foot there, and it's really clear, this lake. And then the other ones, I've gone out with maize and tigers and boilies. Well, good morning, and it is now Tuesday, so I've done 3 nights, and I'm really happy to tell you that just before it got light this morning, the middle rod was away again, the same rod that I caught on last time, and unfortunately in the fight the fish got in the weeds, so I had to go borrow the boat off Rick, and I was out there in the darkness for about half an hour playing the fish from one weed bed to the next. And finally I managed to get it in the net, and it's another 50 pounder. So yeah, this session's turned into quite a trip. My first 2 fish have both been over 50 pounds, so yeah, I'm really excited for what the rest of the week might bring. I'm just making myself a coffee now. I'm going to have some breakfast. I'm just letting the fish rest in the water for a little while. And I'm just waiting for it to get light enough really to get the fish out and show you. A really chunky one, really wide across its back and really deep bodied with a massive belly as well, so a classic sort of French carp really. But I think the fish in this lake are really nice and dark because the water's so clear, so it should look really impressive in the morning light. So I'm just waiting for it to get light enough, and once I've had my coffee and everything I'll get the fish out and show you. And I've already got the rod back out as well because, you know, it might be bite time, there might be more fish out there, so yeah, blown away. Stay tuned today because we're going to be talking through the rigs and the bait. So the next time I talk to you guys, I'm going to be attempting to lift up a 50 pounder for you and show you that fish before we get it back. Right guys, here we go. There you go. That's 52 pound, 2 ounces. I'm absolutely blown away. That's 250 so far in 3 nights of fishing. It's not often you can say that, is it? This lake is pretty amazing. And I think Mark opposite me had one as well last night, so that's 3 fish between the group now. So yeah, it's shaping up to be a good session because apparently this lake isn't always that easy, so yeah, we're in November and I've had 250s. What more could I ask for really? So I'll get some pictures of this one and then I'll talk you through the tactics and show you my rigs and everything, just so you know what I've been doing up to now. Get in, what a proper chunk. That's so heavy. Now before I came to this lake, I did a little bit of research online, watched a couple of videos and things, and it seemed like these fish really like bigger items rather than fishing, you know, tiny bits and bobs like hemp and seeds. I think you're just going to attract the smaller fish. There's a lot of perch and roach and stuff in this lake. These are really big carp, you know, and they're used to eating vast quantities of food, so I've gone for 3 different baits mixed together to make a mix of larger items, so hopefully deter the smaller fish but also attract the big fish. So what I've got first of all is some prepped tigers. These are absolutely the perfect condition for using. I've prepped these myself, so what I did was washed them off to get rid of any dirt and bacteria that's on there which will make them go off. Washed them in fresh water, then soaked them overnight for 24 hours. Boiled them for 30 minutes until they're, you know, just crunchy but not hard anymore. And then I've added a bag of brown sugar to them. And if you look at that, it's absolutely delicious. Real gloopy mess, which the carp absolutely love. It's a really sweet, attractant goo that's around them. And they're just as good as you can get really for tigers. And then next I've got some maize and sweet corn mixed together there. So it's slightly different size and texture, 2 different items in there, but both yellow, because I'm using a bit of yellow on the hook bait as well, so that kind of matches that. And obviously when you're in France, sweet corn and maize are just unbeatable baits, really. There's not a French fish that swims that hasn't seen a bit of maize before. And obviously sweet corn or carp love that anyway, so I've got that, and I added a bit of salt to that as well, just for extra attraction. And finally, if I can get rid of the tiger nut gear off there, I've got some amino ester boilies from Pure Bait Concepts there, which is like a creamy fruit bait that's got, you know, seeds and nuts in it and things like that. And I've soaked them in lake water and added some of the liquid food to it as well, so they're washed out, but then I've put the flavour back in, so when they're out there on a silty lake bed, they're not going to be soaking up the bad smell of any silty bottom. They're already soaked in their own flavour, so they're just going to be kicking out that for longer periods. And also they're soft because they've been soaked as well, so it's easier for the carp to crunch them up and get through them and digest them so they can eat more. So prepping your boilies in this way will, I think, get you more bites, because the fish can eat them a lot quicker, so they're more likely to get to hook bait quicker rather than sitting on the spot and chewing for long before they move on to the next one. So when they start crunching them up, they go to mush very quickly, and you know, they will find your hook bait quicker like that. So that is my 3 baits that I'm using on this session. I've just been putting them out, you know, when I'm spodding, I'm just putting a spot of boilies, a spot of maize and a spot of tigers, and just doing it like that rather than mixing it all together. I like to keep those different attraction properties separate and then put them out on the spot together in different patches, if you like, so that it sort of mixes it up and keeps the fish guessing and moving from spot to spot, kind of picking up different things. And then hopefully the hook bait in amongst that will get picked up really easily. So now I've run you through my bait, I'm just going to quickly talk to you about the rig that I'm using. So my left-hand rod, I think I said before, was down the margin on the left, and now the sun's gone and the pressure's dropped, I just don't think the margin spot's going to be the one really, and all the fish that I've seen showing have been out in open water in front of me. So I've spent a good hour just now with a leading rod again, just trying to find a spot where the fish was showing, you know, a presentable area near to where the fish was showing. And actually I was quite pleasantly surprised to find a really nice spot at about 60 yards, pretty much straight out in front of me, whereas before I was sort of clipped up at about 90 yards. I kind of started at that distance and tried to work my way back, but it was just solid weed, and I kind of gave up on it and went out in the boat. But I've just cast without being clipped, you know, and just trying to feel for drops. And on this one occasion I got a really nice drop, dragged it back, and I got a good rod length of really smooth silt. There's no gravel there, it's just really like nice clean bottom. So I'm really excited because I've now got 3 open water spots which are presentable, and I've just put some bait out and I'm just about to get my last rod out on that spot. So before I do that, I thought I'd show you the rig. It's the same rig I'm now using on all 3 rods because I've had both my fish on it already. I did start off with a pop-up on one rod, but I figured if I've caught on a rig I might as well stick with it. So what I've got is a rig that you may have seen in some of my other videos before. It's simply an amnesia D rig. So it's 20-pound amnesia, knotless knotted. The tag end, you put a hook ring swivel on it, put it back through the eye and blob it, and that makes your D. And then I've just got a bit of putty in the middle to help sort of keep it flat on the bottom, but also drop it down in the fish's mouth when it picks up the bait. And then the hook bait there is a Pure Bait Concepts amino ester barrel wafter, which has been cured in salt, and these are really pokey, nice little hook baits, these. And I've just topped it off with a bit of yellow foam, partly because I'm using maize and corn in the mix, so I want to match the colour of that, but it's more for that little bit of buoyancy. Although this is a little barrel hook bait, they're not crazy buoyant. They do sink nice and slow, but they do kind of lay on the bottom, which is great if that's the presentation you want. But I wanted it to be hovering above the hook, so only the hook's on the bottom, and it's poised and ready to go. So that little bit of foam just helps that, and when the fish picks it up, the hook drops down, and the hook's in the perfect position to hook the fish. So that's my rig. I've now got on all 3 rods. I've got all 3 out in open water now because that's where we've been seeing the fish showing, and I found clear spots in the weeds, so I can't really do much more than that. I know the bait's working because I've caught fish, and I know the rig works because I've caught fish on it as well, so I'm really happy because I've actually got 3 spots that I'm just going to stick with now. Keep putting a little bit of bait out, not loads. I think I've put 8 spoms out, and I'm just going to leave that now for the next 24 hours. And then tomorrow, if I've not caught anything, I might top it up with 4 or 5, just, you know, not crazy. I don't really want loads of bait out there. I'm just trying to nick a bite one at a time. So I'm going to get this out now, and then we'll see what the rest of today and tonight brings.
Well, here we are, we're a few nights in now, and this little darling decided to wake me up just as we were getting light this morning. We've not had it on the scales yet. We're just going to get some stills while the light's good, and we'll keep you updated on the magic wheel of fortune, which number it goes to. But this time of year, when the leaves are falling, you know, some beautiful colours, and carp just look magnificent. So we've all been pleasured by these misty mornings and moody days that you expect in autumn, and any fish this time of year is a real bonus and a privilege to be here with some good friends as well. So let's have a look at that. Still got some fight in it. What an absolute chunk of a fish. I think what it lacks in length, it definitely makes up with in width. I can see which one's been eating all the pies. So here we are, northern France, Etangs de la Chantereiene, coming up towards the middle of November. Beautiful autumnal feeling to the lake this time of year. It really is magical, and I'm here with a great set of friends, Simon, one of our Prologic pro staff, and Dan and Mark, and basically we've got this lake to ourselves. Now, this lake's been here quite some time. It's an old estate lake, and the fish in here are stunning, but by French standards they don't give themselves up easily. You know, you have to work a little bit for them. And we started fishing here Saturday after travelling all the way through the UK, overnight crossing, and arrived at the lake early hours Saturday morning. We did a quick draw, settled into peg 7 it is for me, so I've got a lot of deep water out there, so fishing in 19 feet of water, chucking 65, 70 yards to a clear area I found with a marker rod. And since then I've slowly introduced a bit of bait on it to build it up, and we're now 3 days in, and I've had my first bite this morning, which resulted in an upper to mid 40 beautiful Etangs de la Chantereiene mirror carp. So doing nothing out the ordinary really, going to my favourite combi rigs. So this is a stiff boom section. I've got a Thinking Angler's curve shank hook on there, nice little bit of putty where the braid joins the stiff filament. And on the end there we've got an RG Baits Vitalat boilie tipped off with a Club Tropicana pop-up. This balances perfectly, and it just lifts that hook ever so slightly off the bottom, ready to be engulfed in. And the bite this morning was an absolute screamer. Couple of beeps, I fished my clutches semi-tight, hanger was up to the top, then I was alerted to the line pulling out the clip on the rod, and the reel slowly started ticking. lifted the rod up, and an incredible fight, to be honest. I mean, it's been a while since I've had a big fish, and the fish just plodded around in the depths for quite some time, and I enjoyed the moment, to be honest, as the light was breaking this morning. Bait wise, what I've been doing out there, I've been going out, I've been putting the marker float out there, popping it up on the spot, getting our inflatable dinghy that we have, and going out there, and I'm feeding a lot of bits, so things like hemp, chopped boilie, liquidised boilie, chopped tiger nuts, with a few whole tigers in there and a few whole boilies in there, and I'm prepping this over a period of days. So there's lots of hemp liquid, tiger nut liquid in there, as well as some of the RG Baits Vitalite bait soak is in there, and I'm allowing that to stand for at least 24 hours, so everything's being drawn into the liquidised boilie crumb and the boilies that are in there. And then it just becomes a waiting game, as you'd expect this time of year, and hopefully the fish that I've had this morning will be the start of many.
We have got 2 nights to go. We're on Thursday now. It's actually Rick's birthday, so tonight we're going to go around for a nice barbecue and a couple of beers together, which would be great. And then get the rods out for tonight, and then another night to go after that, and then we'll be going home on Saturday. So yeah, we have to sort of keep our fingers crossed that a few more fish come along. I've had 2 and they've both been 50 pounders, so I can't really complain even if I go home on that. But I feel like there is time for one more big fish between us. And I'm just hoping that that big fish Thursday sort of trend that you get when you come to France is actually going to be a thing for us. And it would be lovely if Rick had a big one on his birthday, but obviously I want to catch more myself as well. So I'll show you anything that happens. And yeah, I'll keep you updated as things progress. Right, you might notice that we've got 1, 2, 3 extra people in the swim this morning, and that is because if you look down here, hopefully you can see just here in the water is a sling, and in there is a 60 pounder. Can't believe it. I think I said yesterday that there was time for one more big one before we go, and it was Big Fish Thursday as well, so yeah, can't believe it, it's happened. So yeah, in a minute I'm gonna get the fish out and get it on the mat and show it to you and get a few photos. And we've still got one more night to go, so yeah. Come on! Come on! Right guys, here we go. The absolute icing on the cake for this week's fishing. My 3rd fish of the session, and it's a 60 pounder. Just over 60, probably 60 pound 1 ounce or something like that, but it doesn't matter when they look like this. I'm shaking because obviously it's very heavy, and yeah, the adrenaline's kicked in as well. But yeah, I'm blown away. It's been a wicked week. We've had a lovely time with the guys here. A few beers last night for Rick's birthday, and then waking up to this fish has really made the week. And I'm really hoping that we can have a few more before we go tomorrow. We've still got 24 hours left, so yeah, let's hope those fish are hungry tonight and we can see a few more of these chunks before we have to go home. Wicked. Oh, he's heavy.
Perfect mouth.
Yeah.
This is what I'm on about with these Chantereiene carp. They're in such good condition. The length of the barbels on that, beautiful fins.
He's going down. Right. There he is. 60 pound of Chantereiene mirror. It's what we came for. Get in there. I'm absolutely blown away. I think I might just sleep for the rest of the trip, to be honest with you, but there is time for another one. So yeah, better get the rods sorted later and hope that the last night brings a few more for us.
Friday, I believe, so we've got one night left before we have to leave. And to be honest, down this end of the lake it's been a bit tricky for me, and I made a decision. It'd taken 3 days for the fish to come onto a baited area, so I found another little spot, presented 2 baits on there, and I was only saying to Simon earlier, those rods now have been out over 48 hours, and we've just gone through a torrential downpour of rain, some flash and bangs of thunder, and we're doing a bit of filming to camera, me and Simon, and we're like, what's that? A couple of beeps, and bent into this amazing 61 pound 4 ounce Chantereiene mirror carp. Dogged bite, deep water where I'm fishing, and yeah, straight into the kelp. So straight into the boat, did battle by the boat, watching this fish come up from 20 feet of water in crystal clear water. If you could have seen my knees shaking in the boat, then yeah, they were. I saw this fish fighting, shaking its head, and all that was in my mind was make sure that hook holds good, you know, and finally it surfaced, and I gave out a shout to Simon on the bank, and yeah, it's a chunk. So made me a very, very happy man. Day after my birthday, with good mates at Chantereiene, and I've got my first 60 from Chantereiene, so yeah, well happy. I'm going to try and lift this up for you and give you an idea of what this fish is all about. There we go. What an absolute brute of a fish. Awesome fighting, like I say, from 20 feet of water, this crystal clear lake, that's top to bottom solid with weed, and home to these beautiful creatures. Okay, one last look at this magnificent creature before it goes back. It's been so well behaved, and I've given it plenty of time to rest. But if I don't catch another fish on this trip, I don't really care. But for this little chap, or not so little chap, this big beast, it's time to say goodbye. Wow, can you see this? What a fish, come on!
Right, here we are, the last night of our trip to Etangs de Chantereiene in France, and I'm absolutely blown away by that fish that Rick's just caught. Hopefully you agree, it was an absolute stunning fish. The colours at this time of year of these fish absolutely match the leaves on the ground, and just unbelievable. You can't really wish for better quality of fish. And the average size has been crazy. You know, my smallest fish has been 52 pound, and that's not a bad week, if I'm honest. So we have got the last night tonight. The rods are out. It's a beautiful evening. It was raining a bit earlier, but now we've got this really nice clear evening. It's going to be quite a cold one, I think. but we are hopeful that there's still time for another fish, so fingers crossed guys. Let's hope something comes along to end the trip on a high, but if not, I think Rick's fish really has been the icing on the cake for everyone. We've all caught and it's been a really fun, enjoyable time, so yeah, let's see what happens for the last night. Right, we're on the last morning here of our trip at Etangs Chantereiene, and what a week it's been. It's absolutely blown my mind. I've seen so many big fish, and down in the net down here is another one on my last night, probably the smallest one of the trip, but it probably is going to go 40 pounds, so it just shows you the stamp of fish that we've had this week. I haven't managed the big common that I set out to get, but the other fish that I've caught have more than made up for it, I think. So yeah, I'm going to get this fish out the water now and get packed up and get back on the road, because we've got a ferry to catch. And there we go guys, absolutely stunning 35 mirror from Chantereiene on the last morning. Look at the colours on it, it's absolutely amazing. Such a clear lake here, and that really helps darken these fish off. And we're in autumn as well, so obviously that time of year fish start getting their winter colours. They look immaculate and they're packing on the weight as well, so what a week. Blown away, 4 fish. This 35, 2 50s and a 60. Not bad going for November. So let's get this one back and get packed up, because we got to get a ferry not too long from now. Thanks for watching guys, hope you've enjoyed it. I certainly have enjoyed being here. Make sure you subscribe to the Prologic channel and keep an eye out for any future videos.